from Andre. How do you read better? What a great question. I've always been a rotten reader, at least in the English lit sense. I can read Ray Bradbury and C.S. Lewis, but I feel sometimes I have a total mental block if I pick up something like Dostoevsky or Shakespeare. It's like a foreign language. He says, I should mention that I'm a doctor. I'm not a bad reader. Is there a way I could become a better reader? Yeah, the difficulty with this, a lot of people have this problem. They come to, I've recommended Charles Dickens, and people go to Charles Dickens and go like, it just goes on forever, and he just keeps talking, and there's no shooting, and I always tell my wife, I'm not going to watch a movie unless it contains the line, let the girl go, and Charles Dickens doesn't contain the line, let the girl go, and Shakespeare is particularly difficult because he's almost writing in another language. He's writing in Old English, so it's very, very difficult. Sometimes when you watch Shakespeare, he's easier to understand than when you read him. However, if you really want to do this, and I think it's so worthwhile, I think there's so much wisdom in Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. It changed my life. It's a great, great book. You don't want to be deprived of it by just a mental glitch, and you're obviously a bright person, so you shouldn't be deprived of it. It takes a certain amount of discipline and work. And the problem is we look at reading, it's not a problem, but we look at reading as entertainment, and we want it to move, and we want it to go forward, and so you don't want to actually work at reading. But maybe if you could give 15 minutes a day to reading a work like Dostoevsky out loud. Read it out loud so you can hear the words and so that you're forced to pay attention. Your mind can drift while you're reading out loud, but it's a little more difficult for your mind to drift while you're reading out loud. If you have a spouse or somebody who do it with you, that's also really helpful. So you can just talk about what these words mean. Because Dostoevsky, there's a new translation by a husband and wife team. I can't remember their names offhand, but you might want to look that one up. It's a better translation than the old Constance Garnett one. And Dostoevsky is so rewarding and his story is so great, but he is a thick, dense psychological writer. He follows his characters through every psychological twist and turn, and it's in a foreign culture. The names are hard to pronounce, so there's a lot of stuff in the way. Personally, if I were going to start with somebody, I would start with Dickens. I would start with Dickens because he is so entertaining once you get used to the language. David Copperfield, incredibly entertaining. Bleak House, incredibly entertaining. He just wrote really fun books. And you could start with A Christmas Carol, which is entertaining and short. And once you get used to the kind of Victorian language, it really starts to roll pretty easily. You started with very hard people. Shakespeare, again, is almost writing in a foreign language. Dostoevsky is one of the most difficult writers to read. Tolstoy, by the way, if you read Anna Karenina, is a much easier writer to read. Pick your spots. Don't go to the hardest place first. Don't go from A to Z. Go to B. Go to harder C. And start to deal with some of the great literature that is out there. Very few great books are written. If I had to list great books, I could probably stop at about 100. Very few great books are written. It is a shame to miss out on them because they were written before your time and because they're not written in immediately understandable English. If you like this content, and how could you not, you want to like and subscribe, and also subscribe to the Andrew Klavan podcast, wherever you get your podcast for more Klavan-y goodness.